Alright, so in the last video, we started with the record level security. We discussed what is organization-wide default setting and how do you extend the organization-wide default private setting with the manual sharing and with the automatic sharing. In this video, we're going to talk about the role hierarchy. Okay, role hierarchy is the fourth part of a record level security. So far, what we have been discussing is just the record level security, right? Which record or what sort of data will be accessible to whom, right? That's what is record level security. And in order to discuss the role hierarchy, let me just give you a very real example. Okay, this is a customer I had worked with, and they were into healthcare. Okay, so they had few healthcare products that they were selling. All right, and first you understand these story, okay, because anything you need to learn in Salesforce, you first have to understand the story, right? So this is the story. We will discover the story first, and then we will see how this story, which is nothing but a problem statement, can be resolved with Salesforce role hierarchy. Okay, so the customer was actually selling some product, some medical product. Basically they were selling, they had a famous product which is the contact lens. Okay, and they had almost like 700 sales executives, working in the ground. Okay, so they had few people which we call them as business development executive. You know who are these guys? These are the people, these are the college fresh graduates who used to go to the hospitals, right? And drop the sample products, and if the doctors are prescribing those sample products to their patients, and if they're getting good feedback, probably the same business development executive was actually making the deal between the hospital and the healthcare company. So that's what their primary business, right? So there are 100 business development executives. Okay, you got these people, right? These are the bunch of people who used to go to each and every hospitals. By the way, this customer, they were into two different region, right? One is in they were selling the product in the US and Canada, right? And they had few business development executives working in the US, another few business development executives working in the Canada. Okay, and so total number of BD were 100. Okay, now next, the BD, all the business development executives whose job was to visit each and every nearby hospitals, drop the sample product and get the feedback and get the deal done. All these business development executives were reporting to someone called district manager. District managers were somewhere around 25. So each district manager was actually handling 5 business development executives. All right. So BD, if you are a BD, you will report to your DM, district manager. And same way, district manager was actually reporting to someone called regional manager. And there were around like 5 regional manager. And each regional manager was there are like 5 district managers was reporting to one regional manager, right? And then the regional manager was reporting to the national manager. There were actually 2 national manager, one for the US, one for the Canada. Now these are the hierarchy, and then national manager was reporting to someone called CEO. And in the company, there is only one CEO. So total number of users in the entire hierarchy that you see is 133. Okay. So now let me tell you the real problem. Okay. So the problem was this: these business development executives was actually visiting the hospitals. Okay. And the hospital's data, they were capturing in something called account. Okay, the hospital data was captured in the account object. So account was nothing but the customers, right? All the hospitals are basically the customers, right, for the business. So account object was holding all the customers data. Now this business development executive job was to visit, let's say they were visiting a hospital called XYZ. that XYZ hospital data, entire detail about XYZ, was getting stored into the account object. Now, here's the problem: account OWD was private. What is the problem? The problem was because the account organization by default was private, right? That's the reason why if any BD, any business development executive, was visiting a hospital and onboarding the hospital into the account object, that data, that account data, was not visible to the manager, which is nothing but the DM. Ideally, what should happen, right? Let's say you are the business development executive, right? And I am the district manager. I am reporting to someone called John. He's the regional manager. John is reporting to someone called Alex. He's the national manager. Alex is reporting to someone someone who is the CEO. Don't you think that the data, right? The data created by the business development executive, the account data I'm talking about, the data created by the business development executive, don't you think that should be visible to the district manager? And the same data which has been created by business development executive should not only be visible to the district manager, it would be visible to the DM, to the RM, to the NM, to the CEO. Yes or no? Right? So in the hierarchy, BDE are the below the lowest level hierarchy people, suppose. Any BDE who onboards or who are the owner of a particular record, a particular account, that account data should definitely be visible to the DM, to the RM, to the NM, to the CEO, to all the upper level hierarchy people. If you think the opposite directions, now let's think in that way. Let's say the region, every single person in the organization was having some target. Okay, so it's not the just the BD who is supposed to run in the field and onboard the accounts and fulfill their target. The DM, RM, NM also had their own target. So let's say the regional manager, this guy, is actually visiting one hospital and capturing the hospital data into the account. Now you tell me, who should have access to that data? The regional manager is creating that data, and that data, whatever the regional manager has created, or is the regional manager is the owner of the data, right? So what do you think, who should be having access to the data? Do you think the DM, the below level people should have access? Definitely not. If RM is creating the data, that data will be accessible by the NM, by the CEO, not by the DM, not by the BDE. You understand what I'm saying? Let's say the national manager has created the record. Now, who do you think would be having access to the data? Only the CEO, not the RM, not the DM, not the BDE. Yes, but if the BDE creates a record, there is no below level people than BDE, right? So if BDE creates the data, definitely that data would be accessed by DM, by RM, by NM, and by CEO. That's how the hierarchy works, right? In every single company, if they have a hierarchy, what do you mean by hierarchy? Hierarchy is basically my data would be visible to my manager, my manager's manager, and my super manager. But everybody whom I report, whom my manager report, whom my manager's manager report, would have access to my data. That's how the hierarchy works. But all this thing will not gonna work because your organization wide default is what? It's private. So any business development executive creates an account, onboards an account, and let's say he is owning the data. Only that particular business development executive will have access to the data. No one else will have access to the data, right? How do you solve this problem? Guess what? You have to do nothing here, right? You as a Salesforce admin, you just need to understand this particular hierarchy from the customer. And you have to go here, setup. I'm already there in the setup. Search with role hierarchy. You see something called role. You as an admin, you just have to go to this roles and onboard this role. I have given you a very simple example, by the way. This is not the case for every single project. Sometimes the project I have seen, the hierarchy is pretty complex. Let's talk about the complex hierarchy after we onboard the simple hierarchy. All right. So all you need to do as an admin is to onboard this particular hierarchy inside your Salesforce org. You get it? That's it. That's what your job. Automatically, once you onboard this hierarchy inside Salesforce, Salesforce will automatically work, and whatever we need, right, the present problem statement that we discuss will be resolved automatically the moment you onboard these role hierarchy inside the system. I'll quickly go and show you how you as an admin will go and create this hierarchy inside the system. Let's click here, and you see something called understanding role. You can read this out just to understand what it is. Yeah, I'm just clicking on this. Don't show this page to me. Setup. See, Salesforce has by default created a couple of um, some hierarchy for you. These are like the standard hierarchy, right? If you click on this expand all, what you see, these are the um, already created roles inside the Salesforce system, right? And I'm very sure your customer will say, you know what, I don't want these roles to be there. Can you please delete these roles, remove these roles, and create my own roles over here? So I'm not deleting this. Probably in the same admin section, we will be doing one assignment, and in that assignment we need this role to be there. So I'm not deleting any role. Okay, in case if you want to delete any role, suppose you want to delete this particular role, SVP customer service and support, you cannot delete this role directly. Okay, let's go ahead and try this out. See, I'm trying to delete this SVP customer service and support. Here we go. You attempt to delete this role, SVP customer service support, could not be completed because users are currently assigned to this role. You know what I mean? It means you first have to delete this lowest level role, the installation and repair service. See, I just have deleted the lowest level role, and then you have to delete this role. So you first have to start from the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You cannot delete the fifth role at a time. You first have to delete this, then this, and then this, right? In case you are deleting a role, you have to start just from the bottom, okay, and then you have to go top. So I'm not deleting any other role. So what I'm going to do is, see, the company name is Delipat because while signing up this org, I had given the company name as Delipat. So it's coming over here, and the CEO role is already there, right? So CEO, CFO role is already there. So I'm not deleting this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to onboard this role. Okay, I'm going to create this role called National Manager. Guess what? National Manager is actually reporting to CEO. So I would be creating the National Manager role under the CEO. I mean, over here, you see the button called Add Role. This is the button that you have to click as an admin to create the National Manager role. I have given National Manager the role. Click on Save. See this. I just have created the role hierarchy. And guess what? This is just a blank designation so far. Until and unless you add people inside the role, it is just a blank designation. Once you add people, right, I see, you see a button called add assign user to this role. Yeah, so you have to assign users inside the role. You haven't been assigned any users so far inside the role, so that's why this role is just blank. It is just a designation. So either I don't have many users created, but if I click on this assign user role, you remember we created a user called testing user. Yeah, so I can go here and select all users, and these are the all users. Okay, I have testing users whom I can add here. I have Rajesh Chatterjee, we can add here, right? Save. Now I have successfully created one role called National Manager, and this role is reporting to whom? To CEO. What does it mean? It means anybody who is there inside this role called NM, if he or she creates any record, then whoever is there in this particular role will be able to access the data. Please write this down. Okay, I'm telling you this point that you have to write it down because this is a question that you definitely get in the certification. The question is, if let's say one of the national manager creates a data, suppose Rajesh Chatterjee is creating a data, CEO, anybody who is there in the CEO role will definitely have access, pretty much clear. But what type of access they will have? The CEO, right? The people who are there in the CEO role, will they have read access to the data created by NM, any of the NM, or will they have read and write access? So they will have, the upper level people will always have read and write access. So just note it down. uh, Role hierarchy gives read and write access to the data. All right. So I'm done with an NM. I'll go back to the role, quickly onboard the other roles we have. Where is the NM? Do you see the NM over here? NM is reporting to CEO. So under NM, I'm going to create the second role, which is, what was the second role? Regional manager. Let me copy this. Paste it over here. I'm not adding any users here. I'll just go back to the same page, and you have CEO, you have NM, you have RM. Under RM, I'm adding one more role called, I think, district manager. Yes. Let me just quickly check. Yes, district manager, save. And under the district manager, we will have another role called business development executive, BDE. That's it. All you did, you actually did nothing here, right? So everything has been done by the system. You as an admin, you just created the role hierarchy. You just set up the role hierarchy. And once you assign people, right? Let's say I already have 700 users, or these 133 users onboarded, okay? And you as an admin have received the Excel file. Ideally, you should get a Excel file from the business, and business will tell you, okay, these 5 people will be there in BDE, these 10 people will be there in DM. So you cannot decide this, right? This should come from the business. So let's say you as an admin have got that Excel file, and you know whom you should add in the BD, whom you should add in the DM, and whom you should add in the RM, right? All you need to do is you have to go to this assign button. All right. And you have to click here. So you get to see a couple of options here. Let's just figure it out. See, one person can be there in multiple role. That's possible, right? So if I am acting CEO, I could be the business development executive at the same time, right? So you can select, let's say, whoever is there in the CEO, I want them to be there in this role called, what is this role? The role called BDE. If that is the case, you just select CEO. The moment you select CEO, anybody who is there inside the CEO role would be coming over here. Right now, there's no one actually is there in the CEO role, so it's coming as none. But if it is there, it should come, and you should just click on this add button to add them in the BDE role. Got it? So if you know somebody who is there in the national manager role, just go here in the national manager. See, in the national manager role, if you remember, I just had added 2 users, Rajesh Chatterjee and testing user. All these 2 users are there here. I can add them again in the BDE. So same user, testing user who was the NM, is now the BDE as well. Cool. And let's say you want to see only those user who has not been added into any of the roles so far. So just click on all unassigned users. All unassigned user, you'll see only those user who doesn't have any role. All right. So ideally what we do, I mean, when I as an admin go and set this role, right, I got a pure Excel file where the business used to tell me, this is what my role hierarchy. This is not my headache to understand like what should be the hierarchy. Definitely the business will let me know. So I got the Excel file. The Excel file is like full of data with DM these many people, RM these many people. So what I do, I first onboard the role and go here in the all users. You have a button called search. Okay, you can search here RAJESH. See, immediately Rajesh Chatterjee will come. So if you have like thousands of users, you just have to click on all users, type in the name, click on find, you will get the user, and just click on add. Okay, so this is how you can add people inside the role. So role has been created and you have added people inside the role. That's it, your job is over. After that, Salesforce will automatically take care of the functionality. What is the functionality? What is the problem that this role hierarchy will solve? The problem is, if any BDE creates a data, yes, the DM, the RM, the NM, the CEO will be able to see the data. Right? Let me check if you have understood this clearly. Just answer this question to yourself. Okay, tell me, what do you think if regional manager creates a data? Okay, the RM, someone who is there in the RM, suppose he is creating the data. So do you think the COO will be able to see the data? I'll repeat again. My question is, if RM creates a data, do you think the COO will be able to see the data? Yes or no? Time is up. I think you have answered it correctly. No. Why? If you ask me why, because see, RM is reporting to NM. NM is not reporting to COO. NM is reporting to CEO. Correct? So only the person whom I am reporting will be able to see my data. So it's nowhere COO being reported by either NM or RM. You see the line over here? See, this line from RM is coming out and going to NM. Yeah, this line is coming out from NM and going back to direct CEO. So no one is reporting COO. How do the COO person will be able to see the data now? You got it right. So in order to see the data, someone has to report, right? So RM, if he creates a data, the NM will be able to see the data and the CEO, not CFO, not COO. Even though they are in top of the hierarchy, they are actually not in the top of the hierarchy. The place wise, they are holding top placeholder, but ideally they are not reporting to each other, so they cannot see. Is this clear? Now one last question. Let's say this is the role customer support international. Suppose someone is there in this role, have created one account organization wide default is private. Do you think the business development executive will be able to see the data? Definitely not, because same reason. This person is reporting to SVP customer service. SVP customer service is reporting to directly CEO. They are not reporting to BD. Yeah. This is just like a tree structure. That's the reason why you see BD on top of this, because you know how this tree structure looks like. We have seen the same tree structure in the hierarchy relationship. Yes, that's how it looks like. But in order to access the data of my subordinates, I have to my subordinate have to report me. Then only I can see my subordinates data. That's all about role hierarchy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little complex hierarchy, all right, and we'll try to explain that. So let me create this hierarchy quickly offline, and then let me resume from there. Okay. All right. So I have onboarded this role hierarchy into the system. So if you see here, zone 1 manager, okay, is reporting to directly the CEO. All right. So I have like zone 1 manager, zone 2 manager, zone 3 manager. If I expand the zone 1 manager, see, area 1 manager is reporting to zone 1. Area 1 sales executive is reporting to area 1 manager. Same thing for zone 2, right? Area 2 sales executive is reporting to area 2 manager. So in this case, if I hope you understand clearly here, right? So if this is the hierarchy, then if area 1 sales executive creates the data, that data will be available to area 1 manager, zone 1 manager. If area 3 sales executive creates the data, that same data will be available to area 3 manager and zone 3 manager, right? That data will never be available to zone 2 manager or zone 1 manager, because they are not reporting to each other, right? So only the reportee will be able to see the data, right? So this is how the access record access. By the way, role starts with R, right? And understand this, record starts with R. So role is nothing but a record, right? So role hierarchy will only help you to set up the data, the record level security. Okay. So this is the fourth level up data security. Right now, if I gist everything, the record level security or the data security starts from organization wide default. The moment you make organization wide default is private, right? Only the owner can see the data, no one else. Now if the owner, whoever has access to the data, if he or she wants to share the data manually with someone, have to use the manual sharing button. If the business want the system to take care of the automatic sharing, then you have to set up the criteria in the auto sharing. Or if the business has a role hierarchy, and if the business want the access level based on the role hierarchy that you define, to go ahead with the role hierarchy. All right. In the role hierarchy, the upper level people will have read and write access to the lower level subordinates data, right? The data that the subordinates own, right? Okay. So these are the record level security that we have so far.